This is Dave Monk, your Prairie Monk. We're interested in introducing you to Prairie because we're not sure how many people see a prairie, because it's down to 0.01% of the remnant prairie that we have in this state, which was 2/3 prairie. So this is almost August. It's July 30th, and we want to give you a rough, tough idea of what a prairie is like. So there will be a little bit of jerkiness here and there, but we'll try to introduce you to 2.5 acres. We're panning around now. Right and away in the distance is Yankee Ridge, where the moraine was, and you're on the Pisota moraine, the backside of the Pisota moraine. You're panning across. This is an urban area. The trees are in an urban setting, and you're looking at prairie that is, the grasses are starting to get their fruiting bodies. The compass plants and docks are coming up. You're looking through from a berm of probably 50 feet high, and you're looking down on a quinine clump, and we'll probably plan around a little bit to see, give you an idea of just what 2 acres can be like. There's a house in the distance, and that gives you an idea that this is surrounded by a lake park community and another community on to the right. We're making the image long enough so that you can get a rough idea of what you're looking at. Now we're looking across so that our dock in the front, behind it is a small prairie that belongs to a different setting, and then there's a forest. This is near Prairie Fields. On the right, very right hand corner, there's a subdevelopment. The cordgrass is seeding at the moment. We don't usually propagate it by seed because it takes 10 years to grow from seed. We take the clones of the roots and plant them. So these have been planted from Route 45. Now you're looking at Big Blue Stem, and it's got a sort of, if you turned up the turkey's foot, the top looks like a turkey foot. Notice that you're getting clumps of whatever. And so here we have bee balm and Culver's root, and off to the top left is a joint plant, which really belongs in more to the west. There's some Queen Anne's lace. It's not a native, but it's not too bothering, and it's not an invasive weed. Slightly windy day. It's helpful for video because you can get an idea of the wind. It's not so good for still photographers. So now you're looking at Culver's root, and obviously Dr. Culver discovered some biochemical in here that's used probably in medicine. It's been flowering for a little while now, and it's starting to get older. There's bee balm, the purple plant in the bottom left-hand corner is bee balm, a balm for bees, and it's very attractive for insects and for pollinators. You can see that one of the Culver's roots is older, and it's hayed off already. If you look carefully, you can sometimes see insects working on these plants. That's joint grass there. And most grasses are pollinated by wind. So they have big anthers. Now you're looking at Coreopsis, tall Coreopsis, not in flower yet. You're looking at the buds. It's a very tall plant. It's probably 10 feet tall. And now we're back to the culvers root. And you see a bumblebee in the picture. It's probably not on the culvers root, it's probably on the balm for bees, which is a mint. There we are, one blew into the frame. So you're looking through culvers root, and notice it is flowered from the bottom up, whereas some plants flower from the top down. Now you're looking at ironwood. Ironwood usually likes to be in a fairly damp place. It's probably 6 or 8 feet tall and quite spectacular. The color is sort of the color that you get when you are blacksmithing with iron. Panning back down its stem, a little bit of blue stem on one side, and sneaking in on the left is some Blackeyed Susan. And there's a nice little patch of Blackeyed Susan. And with the ironweed in the background, if you're out there on the prairie on a little trail, then you could put yellow and purple together, and some people enjoy that sort of combination. In the distance you can see the roof of the buildings that are on the rest of the 40 acres of this old cornfield. So this is not a coneflower, it's a flower where the petals are flat, and coneflowers, the petals drop off as if your arms were on your shoulders and it drops off. So that's how coneflower is defined. And that's a close-up of the ironweed. You notice some insects floating around, and these plants are not still, they're able to handle wind. Now you're looking at quinine, which again would suggest that there's a chemical there that could be used in the battle against malaria. You'll see behind the quinine there's a clump of big blue stem. The prairie grasses are clumps. They're not lawn grasses that have rhizomes that run under the lawn and create a sort of mat for a lawn. They're clumpy and look clumpy and stay clumpy. This is quinine in the close-up. The seeds are very hard to break. If we're going to do it professionally, we have to have a little hammer mill which gently bumps the seed and releases them. Now you're looking at you're looking at compass plant. This is a rather famous plant because settlers, when they came into large acreages of prairie, didn't have any landmarks which told them what was north and south, and from a point of view of a human brain, you were back, if you'd done 100 miles, you were back on your doorstep. So in order to establish north and south, the compass plant's leaves face north and south so the sun doesn't drop in on them and boil the water out of the leaf. So it gives a good idea of what's north and south. Now you're seeing that they're growing very well. They're fruiting. They're perhaps 10 and even 11 and 12 feet tall. They fall over the trail, which we don't mind at all, because people will then find that they're very drought resistant. They're hard. They're hairy. They're resinous. They have a deep root, a tap root that's like might be 10 and even 15 feet deep. So they're the nth degree in drought resistance. And they're enjoying the fact that we burned this prairie this spring, and that gives them a good start. The heat and light will get into the plant, and it's enjoying growing with a fairly moist spring. Rattlesnake master. It's amazing. Sometimes rattlesnake master doesn't grow very well because it doesn't have the associates that make it grow well. And it might be an insect. We don't know what it is that makes rattlesnake master grow, but we certainly have it growing very well. In the bottom left hand corner there is gray-headed coneflower. Now we're looking at a close-up of a compass plant. It's moving in the wind, so you might not see it. You're starting to see the seed heads. The stem is hairy, and if you were to put your fingers on it, it's harsh. And some places, if there's a little injury, you'll see rosin squeezing out. And this is a typical compass plant. Now you have a diplomat of the prairie. If you put in a prairie in the 4th year, it really is everywhere. Then it tails off some, but it's often used in mixes to give a really idea of a prairie. This is Rosenweed. It relates to the compass plant and to dock, but it doesn't have the taproot of the last two. It has more fibrous root. And this is the purple cone flowers of just a month ago. And the birds love these things. They sit on top of them and get the seed, and it's nutritious, I'm sure. Now you're looking at Tickseed trefoil. Each of those little bumps on the trefoil looked like a tick. And there's certainly that tick's there. David harvested a little tick off my chin the other day. So we tend to take a shower after we come back from the prairie. The other plant that is there is yellow cone flower, which is only in bud at this time. Now you're looking at Liatris, and this is one of those plants that flowers first at the top and is coming down, so it's nearly to the end of its season, and this is the end of July and the start of August. It's in a dampish place. Behind there's actually a little gulch, and so you can see the dead top and the piece at the bottom. When you harvest this, you like you milk the plant up, but you got to be very careful not to pull its roots up. It has a little bulb in the bottom, and there you can see the ditch and cordgrass. Cordgrass is very much likes a damp place, and it leans over like that, but you dare not take hand and run along it because it will cut your hand. So I don't know how it gets the name cord, but I can imagine making cords out of it. And in front there's a big blue stem. There's also at the same place a lot of little blue stem, and both those plants would have at least a mile of rootlets underneath. And we brought them here because this is a cutoff ditch where there's a big meander, and the cutoff allows the water to move straight through without going through the meander. And the banks were at 45-degree angle, and these little blue stems are there to try and stop erosion, and have been very successful. Now you're looking at the trail again. It's just 5 feet wide. You have to be careful not to get it too wide, because the plants on the edge are likely to be plants that are adapted to mowing. The ones on the right hand side are looking good. This is Baptisia. It's a legume which is popular with insects and other creatures that like to eat it. Some of it is older than others. It's green to start off with and then black, and you have to pick it fairly quickly if you want to catch the seed, because it's nutritious. And you can see in the background the 45-degree angle, not of the creek in this case, but of the berm. And you're looking across rattlesnake master, I think, and you see a sort of light purple color that is the balm for bees, and you see the clouds that are providing the 40 odd inches of rain at the appropriate time. This is prairie that likes to have a wet spring. It's used to a drought in the summer, and then it's going to be wet in the fall. And this is rattlesnake master that we're looking at here, and there's this rattlesnake plant itself. So we're almost at the end of just giving you a glance at the a prairie that is basically a garden prairie with quite a bit of remnant prairie taken from Route 45 and planted in. This is Dave Monk, your Prairie Monk, WEFT Champaign 90.1 on your FM dial, and we'll give you a link.